Today we have a very special episode for Mortgage Chicks with Hot Tips. We've got Winnie Brugman. She does quite a few appraisals for Van Dyke, and she gets a good 70% of my appraisals, so hopefully you'll find it informative.
I can't teach you how to appraise in 30 minutes. I did it for 20, I've been doing it and still doing it full-time for 20 years. The markets constantly change. In my careers, have enjoyed change. I know I sound weird, but that's the way it is. Because if you are expecting change, you're not surprised by change. So let me just start right now with I was given a couple of questions from your office. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it says here, what can a realtor do to make the appraiser's job easier? Not a heck of a lot, because we have to do what we do, and that is a ton of analysis. My files look like this of paper for what all you think is a simple appraisal. And because I'm pulling anything from and taking pictures of anything from a low of 8 or 9 homes to as many as 30. Depending on how difficult that appraisal is and where I have to go and what I have to do. So one of the things you could do for us, first thing, is return our call as soon as possible. Not because I'm more important than you, but they're waiting for that file. And if I can't get the information I need from things that I don't understand on the MLS ticket, things that this house is different, unusual, as compared to what you're typically seeing, and pretty much everything is different and unusual. So if I can't get clarification on that, I can't move forward. Or I have to pull it out of the file, and it may be a very good comp that should help everybody's case. But so do that if possible. I have to tell you, this just happened yesterday. Every day, as you know, just like you, every day something new. I've been trying to reach a realtor. The MLS ticket says the house sold for $850,000, but the public record says it's $817,000. I'm like, I got to know what's the real number here. So I call, and it took me 3-4 calls to finally get this person on the phone. And you could tell immediately they're having a bad day. I know all about that, and I'm empathetic to that. But so the deal was something to the effect that the realtor that bought it for her own use, investment, whatever, it doesn't matter. So rather than paying the $800 or $850, she took her commission off and got a lower price. Now, we're not going where that, as far as how the IRS feels about that. That's not my job. But I have to know the value. And, she says, well, it's not my fault that the public records didn't get it right. And she was in a hurry. She quickly hung up. She didn't hang up on me, but she was moving on. The problem there is that I'm left with what public records has. And I can assure you that if I put $800 or $850 in this appraisal, it's coming back from an underwriter at the bank who is looking at the public records.
Right.
Now, and her comment, though, that you all need to take to heart, that it's not my fault they got it wrong. Well, no, it isn't your fault they got it wrong, because they do that fairly regularly down there. But it is hurting you as realtors that we don't have the right price. How many appraisers won't call? Just go, oh, that was the MLS error. It's an error in the MLS. We're going to use public records. It affects your values. You have a house that sold for $850,000, but I have $817,000 on it.
Do you need a copy of the contract from us?
I have to have a contract.
We forward it to her.
It is
we order the appraisal.
In classes, there's all this conversation by the teachers that, we'd really rather you didn't have the contract. You're not supposed to really know what somebody's willing to pay for this house. You're supposed to figure out, based on the data in the market, what it's worth.
But I want you to have a
contract. By law, we have to have a contract. Yeah. I have to review it. I go through a lot of it's, as you know, stock verbiage and all that. But I know right where to go in the pages, front, back, whatever, looking for concessions, looking for any addendum, looking for anything that tells me there's something unusual about
But
this
it's standard
property.
that the lender sends it to the appraiser.
Absolutely.
that we don't.
And
And
we
if-
need all the addendums,
and-
because how does it affect it, Winnie, if the seller's paying $8,000 of a buyer's closing cost on a 300,000 sales price? Just an example.
Technically, it doesn't affect it.
Mhm.
Now, might the realtor have already been at the top of the market with the selling price when they'd like to tack on another 8 to give back to, So how does it affect it? It might not make that value. It might not. Because they've tacked on concessions that can't be found added on to that price.
So you pay attention to that as an
Oh, yeah,
appraiser.
we have to. In fact, the other thing is, and this was interesting, my last class, in a classroom almost 2 years ago, more than that, 2.5 years ago, the teacher asked us, okay, who is putting the concessions on the line in the appraisal and adjusting for that? Only half the room. If USPAP or anybody in the federal government or anybody in the banks knew you weren't adjusting, because remember, that is a gift to you as a buyer. You're getting that money taken off your sale because they're using it for your closing costs. It has to be adjusted. And I've had mortgage brokers years ago when we dealt directly with a lot of mortgage brokers. They said, yeah, but so-and-so doesn't do it. I said, well, he can just give his license back to the state if they want. I'm not choosing to do that. So you have to adjust that. Oh, and there's another thing. No, there's no agreement that's less than 7 pages from the bank. Now, yes, it's coming through the AMC, but it's starting from the banks. Van Dyke, using Van Dyke as an example, sells their mortgages to financial institutions. They set the rules. Not Van Dyke. Van Dyke puts rules in because the banks want those rules. So the 7 pages, an interesting line, because here we are in the market that's crazy. One of the questions, moving crazy, how do we deal with it? Dealing with it doesn't change. We use the sales comparison approach. So cash sales, I've known for 20 years, help lift the market. Now, if that cash sale, if the market for this house in this neighborhood, blah, 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 is right here, and that cash sale's up here, what are we, idiots? I mean, who knows? And then I call the realtor, why do you think your house sold for $150,000 more than everything else? And you try to weed out where that is. So it doesn't mean I won't use that comp. I'll explain it, talk about it from information I've received from you guys. So as we don't ignore that there's somebody out there, little nuts, that's paying this,
From California.
whatever.
Just the whole questions to the end.
Yeah. Well,
Well, you can't know.
It's
I'd
fine.
rather you not,
Yeah,
only because if
alright.
it's directly related to what I'm talking about, then
Sure.
It is, on the multiple offers, I had the listing. And the buyer's agent, of course, they were above list price.
oh yeah, everybody is.
And they said, could you please submit all of the offers to the appraiser for them to review the other offers?
I don't care about them.
And I
Yeah,
said, I've
why?
never done that.
I don't
You know,
care,
I
care
said-
what somebody's
all-
willing to
it's just
pay
an
for a
offer.
house.
Yeah.
It's just an offer.
So I
Yeah.
had
What a
never
waste of
heard
time.
that.
They're just
Listen, I've heard everything. And I have a lot of realtors that I interact with on a regular basis. Here's the deal. I need questions answered. Sometimes I won't say I don't trust, but I want somebody that I know after 20 years has been in the market and deals with this problem. So I'll call that person. Okay. Well, that person and I may spend lots of time on the phone over issues that they have. So I've been out there. I help people away from what we're dealing with here. See, here, and please understand this. If I'm working on one of your files and you call me, I can't speak to you. I'm not allowed. The banks. That's the rule.
We're not allowed to speak to her either.
Not allowed. Oh yeah. Now
No, we
I can
can
speak.
talk.
I can speak to Rick, who runs the
Right.
appraisal department at Van Dyke. We talk all the time.
I bet you.
Also, okay, the gross living area of a subject must be bracketed. I got to have a bigger house, a smaller house. I don't care if it's a condo, a house. Yeah, it must be bracketed. Have the bigger, smaller, same. Now, if I have all condos and they're all the same, they're okay with that because they all 1,100 square feet.
Condos, yeah.
Yeah, they're all right with that. But but you don't have that in a house.
Right.
So if you go in and you're doing an appraisal and you got, hey, your house is 2,500 square or 2,600 square feet, and I got 28, 29, 3,000, that's coming back so fast you can't breathe.
Because they only allow for a certain percentage of
Of,
adjustments.
of
on
adjustments
the
either
appraisal.
way, but you have to have it under it, a house smaller that's coming close to the value that I'm estimating, and the ones below. And this last line. Also, the estimated value of the subject should be bracketed by the actual sales, that means the sale price, and the adjusted sale price. Now, it's easy to get it bracketed with the adjusted sale price. Now, what does that mean? You have the highest new sale going because of this craziness.
Every day, right?
Every day,
Yeah.
right?
But it's
And I'm in a
struggle
neighbor,
for
and
them.
I'm in a neighborhood where you're the highest sale price. Where am I going to get that sale that's over it? That is the most difficult requirement we deal with.
That's your life right now.
That's it. That's our life right now. Now, I'm praying for a reasonable cash sale that tips
Yeah.
the scale. That doesn't mean that necessarily you're going to get your full top price, because then I have to balance it with the other sales in the general market. And not only does 20 years give you a lot of information, especially when you do it full time for 20 years, by concentrating in southern Pinellas County, basically from Clearwater south, both beaches, both
That's
water.
where she gets most
Yeah.
of my appraisals.
Right. I really know that market. I live it. I live in it. All my friends are in it. All the people I know buying and selling real estate are in it. So I can explain to banks a lot of detail about, do we love Gulfport? What that's done over the last 20 years is incredible. I mean, it's done everything, you know, and then that right now it's, of course, and now the builders are in there tearing down some of those old shacks and building brand new houses in there in Gulfport. I don't know, I suspect all of you spend time in Gulfport.
I haven't been down there in a long
Oh my
time.
God, I'm down there. I'm a member of the Pasadena Country Club, which sits in Gulfport,
Yeah.
right next to Gulfport. So all my friends and us, we're in Gulfport a lot, and I appraise over there. So it's you bring somebody in from Sarasota, an appraiser, they have no clue
I apologize.
what Gulfport is like, not a clue. So
So Winnie, can you, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Go
like,
for
can
it.
you explain how far you can go for comparables and not have be beat up by underwriting? Because
Yeah.
like if you have a sell in Gulfport, it's brand new. There's no others like it around there. How far can you go to find a comparable without it being
well,
crazy?
what's interesting? Okay, the answer is it's my discretion, but I have to just explain it and why, and I better not be wrong, because they're going to find those comps. There was a day, I don't see it as much with me anymore because I'm sure it's the year's experience, you know, and it's not, and I give them so much data.
Thank God.
I give them so much data and so much info. I'll put when I know something's tricky, it's in the file 3 times. It's in the front, it's in the middle, it's in the addendum. So, and they still miss it every now and then. It was like, did you not see that? Anyway, but yeah, so it's my discretion, but let's be realistic. Okay, a new house thing, it used to be, and I won't tell you what it could be 4 years, 5 years, 10, whatever. We'd go pretty far because you're in Pinellas County and you don't have you're not in Palm Harbor with the developments, but we do have vacant land here, so we call them spot built homes, and you're allowed to go find them if you can, but you have to be careful if you leave a neighborhood that is modest, let's just use the word modest, and you then end up in a neighborhood that's higher end, you have to adjust for that. So it actually can often make your appraisal more difficult if you go too far. Let's use downtown St. Pete or nearby St. Pete over there. People pay the same price for a 1925 house
I've got one on the market right
as
now.
they do for a brand new house. They want those style homes. They want, the bungalows. They'll pay $500,000, $600,000.
So you don't necessarily have to adjust, well, you do for age, But you also look at
Yes
the
and-
desirability.
Not yes and no. I have appraisals where I have a 1980 house and a 1920 house, and I'm like, excuse me, the price is the same.
Yeah,
Where
but
do you
the
want me to
20s
adjust?
Is more desirable.
It's a personal choice.
Mm-hmm.
If algorithms could do this job,
Yeah.
you know, they were throwing that at us.
Right.
They were
all
throwing
of us.
that at us, and I
All of
was
us.
laughing about it. I said, and where do we get, how do you add the emotion of this decision-making process to this? How do you, when you live and you have friends and they are buying and selling and you listen to how they talk, and when you're in real estate, you listen a lot harder than if you weren't, as to what they're doing, why they're buying, and it's emotional.
I saw something strange on an appraisal that I'd never seen, and was so shocked that the appraiser did this, and the underwriting didn't go
Catch
out.
it. They don't.
But
They
it
don't
said-
catch everything. but-
I don't know the exact wording, but
Yeah.
basically it said, like, there weren't a lot of comps, but the current market supports this.
Well, then that tells me that person probably went out for comps, went out further.
Mm-hmm.
So there weren't a lot of comps, and it should have said in the subject immediate market area.
Yeah,
Right.
it may have.
Yeah, it may have
I
said
don't
that.
remember the
Okay.
wording,
Yeah,
but-
yeah, it probably did. But so I had to go, and these are the words I use. I had to go beyond the 1 mile typical distance to locate suitable comparables. And then I say in similar neighborhoods. But sometimes I've not gone to a similar, and I will adjust that. And I'll
And I think
say,
that's what-
I've adjusted Comp 5 because it is in a somewhat superior location. And,
Yeah,
you know.
what surprised me, it was so general. You know, it
Yeah.
was no description to it.
yeah, they didn't
It's
give
like-
enough detail,
yeah.
and
Wow.
underwriters want more detail.
Do you make any exceptions for the market right now going up so fast? And
Remember, I'm not the bank. So when the bank tells me this is what I have to do, then I
Keep the
have to do
bracket.
it. In the files, all probably, it's so many details on an appraisal. They have the part where it is an increasing market. I am putting increases if I had to use I'm increasing even if I had to use a file that's 3 months old. If I have a comp that is this month.
But there's
Okay.
no comps, and you got the property that's 150,000 more. Can you show
don't
the
ta-
market increasing that much and get it appraised?
I've never done that. Have you ever seen, anybody here ever seen an appraiser appraise a property without covering that price? Have you seen it?
We just got it done.
Great. No, that's
Twice.
great. Good. So they did it through market analysis, correct? Yeah, so far, I've not had that issue.
She called me twice during the deal, and she thanked me.
Now, is she
for
from here? Is
answering my
she
phone.
from here?
Pinellas County.
Yeah, okay, so they should be familiar with whatever market you're dealing in here. So, yeah, I've never had the reason to do that. All right, so it's not like I didn't do it, so we're not doing that kind of appraisal. I've just not had a reason to do it. And-
Here on the beach, it's happening.
I
Yeah.
had a question.
Yeah.
When you're doing an appraisal on one of these properties that had a garage conversion in the square footage, for that square footage, what kind of percentage are you using for the value of that?
There is no percentage. It has everything to do with the value of the homes I'm dealing with. If I'm in the $800,000 range, that number is going to be different than I'm in a $300,000 range who happens to have a garage apartment.
So you deduct the garage out? You deduct the garage out and then use the square footage? Because it won't have a garage, so you gotta have a negative.
Right, you have a negative for the garage, the fact that they took the
Deduct it
garage.
out.
Right, now has this been permitted, not permitted?
Say it's permitted.
Okay, so so that is, I know, listen.
Don't look at me.
Well, we deal with that all the time. And by the way, I have a commentary in my appraisal that talks about an unpermitted space. And I go in and I look at it, and I'm not a contractor, but I've been around enough construction to know when something looks like crap and when it doesn't. Pardon my word. Because I will say it appears to have been done in a workmanlike manner, and we are counting this as living space. But it will not be on the line of living space where the house is. It'll be down below. and it'll be called a bonus, what, very much
80
detail.
square foot bonus room.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. And then it'll be given value. And what is that value? Not a percentage, but it depends on the values I'm working in. And that varies, because let's face it, I'm dealing in all kinds of values.
And
So-
what if it wasn't permitted?
Again, I said make if I think it looks appropriate, you know. Now, if I think it's not, and they would like to count it, then I can call for an inspection. I usually don't. If it's really just not that great.
So if you go in, you gotta step down 6 inches, there's no AC vents
Oh,
in
that's
it.
forget it. That's not living space.
So what do you do with that? There's no garage there anymore, and it's not living space.
Well, we talk about it, and it actually has space. It's storage.
It's gotta
Oh,
add some
okay.
value.
It's storage. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got value. It's got storage value. I mean, I've had sheds that were air conditioned and, you know, just a wall unit and stuff like that, but not really living space, but it got shed value, you know, above the typical. A she shed. Yeah, that, you know, Florida,
Or a
downtown
he shed.
St. Pete is loaded with cottages and
Yeah.
all the rest of that. We
Ancillary
give them
units.
value. I give them value because they're very meaningful to the marketplace. One of the things I run into, not often, but I was working in a townhouse situation, and a realtor did a lot of drone pictures. By the way, are beautiful, and I use them. I'm assuming it's legal in my appraisals because it shows the bank a better view of that neighborhood, of that condo development. Something I can't take that picture.
Proximity to the water.
Everything. Yeah, I use them. I'll put 4, and this is relatively new in the last, say, year, 2 years. I'll put 4 or 5 drone pictures to show them what the property value, that adds value. So, I will tell you that most of my appraisals make value.
Yes.
On a
thank
rare
God.
occasion, they don't. But I have worked
Amen.
harder on that one than even the ones that don't, because I want to be absolute. Because I can get sued from both directions. It's too high, the bank sues me. It's too low, the homeowner sues you. You know, it's like,
So she'll just ask for a little bit more time on an appraisal. Like if it's due back in 7 days, then Winnie's good about, you know, she needs a
Give
little
me-
more time
give me a day or
because she's
two.
doing research.
yeah, doing
And,
it.
and
Yeah.
we're quite all right with that.
Also, if we call you and I want to know, okay, why is a sale? I'm only going to call the opposite ends. Why something seems very low? Why is something seem very high? And I'm not questioning your ability. I am just looking for something I can tell the bank that supports what's going on here. And the lower ones, a good answer there was, well, this buyer had already built a house. They are moving. They need to move on, and they, you know, of course, everything sells in a day or two, but sometimes sales fall through, and for whatever silly reason, you know, we all have experienced. I'm sure you all have, and so they'll say, and they just had to go. This is it. We can't wait any longer. So they drop the price $30,000. I put that in the file. Explain it to the bank, and they're good with that.
Because it can negatively affect
Yes, yes. That's on the low side because it was.
More information, the better.
You have no idea. That's why my files look like this. I mean, you may not think that's a lot of paper, but when you're starting with one house and this is 40,
And then
50
add that
sheets.
onto my files.
And you got encyclopedia.
So are you seeing the appraised value is caught up with market value? Or, because right now, I can't remember the last time I've had a contract that they didn't waive the appraisal, you know?
Yeah, and I'm seeing that, and I'm glad. Hey, listen, I'm happy when I see that.
Yeah.
Not because I'm going to appraise it differently, but I know you got a sale. I mean, I just appraised something that they had at least 10,000. Is that what you're talking about? Where
Yeah.
they say they'll go up to
Right.
10 because they want the house.
And I mean, I've had,
Yeah.
they're not even giving a gap. They're just saying, I don't care where it comes in, I'll bring the money to the table.
Right.
There's no
Right.
limit.
You know the
That's
biggest,
right.
You know the biggest game they're doing right now, and they hit me twice already in the last couple of weeks. They're buying them cash, and then they go get a loan.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
doing those.
No,
It's
listen.
called delayed financing
Yeah,
on
my
it.
daughter,
They're not scared of
because
that.
they have to.
And you know, and then I always tell them, you don't have an appraisal contingency here, you don't appraise, you're paying the
There's no
difference.
Yeah.
financing contingency
You don't
either.
have any
I mean,
finance.
Well, they're not
Right.
on a cash,
And they know
it's a
that. At
cash
least
deal,
they're able
yeah.
to pay
Yeah.
themselves back to some
Right.
degree, you
Get the
know?
money back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter
I've done a
bought
bunch
a
of
condo,
those.
she's a
I'm getting them all the
snowbird.
time now, I'm like,
And
what
she
the
bought a
hell?
condo in the Pasadena Country Club, and I said, if you're really serious about this, you better liquidate your assets, some of your
That's
assets.
what they're doing,
And
pulling
they
out
did.
of 401k, retirement
everything.
accounts,
Yeah,
and
they're
they're paying
showing this
themselves
big
back.
gap here, and then they go, okay, I got the deal, let's do the financing now.
Yeah, and that's what
And I
exactly
can
what
do
they
the
did.
financing the
Yeah,
next month,
right,
like I can get them paid back.
right, exactly, and that's exactly what your husband did it for.
Yeah.
for,
Those are just smart
I don't-
buyers that know how to get a property bought
Yeah,
in this
well,
market.
exactly.
Well, if they have it,
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
everybody
right.
has
Yeah.
that,
If you have that option.
yeah.
Yes.
Is it a waste of time to question an appraisal? I don't think it is ever a waste of time to question anything. But,
Well, it is for Winnie's appraisals.
well.
But I mean, we have
no,
some
you know-
appraisals that have been questionable.
Yeah, not only that, of course, you're going to get them. And here's the thing, the reason I said earlier that I'll take any of the comps you have, not because, look, I can do a lookup as good, if not better than you. Why? I'm really good at that, all right? It just happens to be the thing I just know how to do. But everybody makes mistakes, and with how busy we are, I'm doing a lookup, and then I'm not going out for 5 days. Well, you know what happens in 5
It
days?
could have closed and we got a better crime.
So, and if I'm really in a hurry and you hand me something, I says, you know what, I think I got that as a pending, and here it is closed.
Which helps.
So yes, of course. And I do go back and recheck, but the fact that and every now and then, somebody puts something wrong in MLS, or I do something in the pull that comp did not show up in my pull. And I'll get that from you guys. And that's important. And here I have a map of all the things I'm going out to take pictures of. I will add that to it. Even without looking it up in MLS or, seeing is it really appropriate, I'm out there. I'm going to take a picture and then do the analysis when I get back. So I'll take anything you have. And it's a shame if you're still running into appraisers who will not take that information, because
We have 3
there is
days
nobody
to rebuttal.
perfect.
Well, that was
Appraisal.
gonna be my, kind of my question. Average time, like for when the appraisal's ordered until you get it to
Them.
the underwriting, how much time do you, like 10 days, 7 days?
It varies. I'll get as much as 2 weeks, I'll get as much as 1 week, I'll get as much as 4 days. So,
And then underwriting.
now they
usually-
pay me according
So
to
the
how
appraisal
fast they
comes
want it.
in, and if there's a value problem, I say, Betsy, there's a value problem, it came in 10,000 low, do you want to rebuttal it? And if you do, we have 3 days to go
Yeah.
back to the appraiser
Right.
and rebuttal.
Yeah, and that's another thing, you can't talk to me directly, you have to follow whatever
We
their
have to do a
protocol
form,
is,
type
fill out the
whatever.
paperwork, do all the,
That's
I
VA.
respond very fast, and I'm hoping that most do, but, and actually, one of the lists is that if they send any file back with a question or this, check this box or whatever, I do them immediately, I'd stop everything, because they want to close that file. If you really think in looking at the appraisal something's not right, but do your homework, make sure, because I've had them come back to me and say, you didn't count the fact that this condo had 1980s mirrors on the wall and mine doesn't.
Sorry for your luck.
Sorry about that.
Is that
Yeah.
good or bad? You're out there now.
Your name is Tim O'Neill.
Oh, somebody asked about these DSR, you called them DSR loans, and interesting, first of all, I never heard what that, I've never done one, so, but what's interesting, I was talking to a realtor recently, who is an investor, as many realtors are, and should be. They call it online a DSCR loan, which
do
is
those.
investor, they said Van Dyke didn't.
Oh,
or
we do,
somebody made-
and we do them through Angel Oak, who you've got right there.
Yeah, you do
We
them through
broker
Angel?
them.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. It is, and it makes a lot of sense. The question I just read this, so my first question is, why do they really need an appraiser? This is all analytical.
For the rental schedule. So we're counting the income. A DSR loan is for an investor that goes into a property, puts down 25%, we don't verify income tax returns.
Nothing.
By income and property.
It's the income of
we're
the property,
basing
yeah,
off of
makes
projected
sense.
rental
Makes sense
on the
that they
property.
should do that. And I think I'm just not sure what role, other than what the local rentals are to prove that.
Well, yeah, so we have to have a thorough appraisal with the thorough rental schedule, because that's what we're loaning based off of.
Yeah,
Is projected rental and collateral.
okay.
Problem
So-
is there,
And I do
most-
rent analysis.
most only do yearly, and that doesn't compute out here on the beach when it's a 7-day rental.
Well,
Yeah,
listen,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's,
I know.
Yeah,
so unless you got an appraiser that's willing to take these numbers and adjust it
average.
into, and average it in. 'cause
Well, that's
it's-
all you can do, because a lot of rental properties out on the beach.
yeah, she's
I
probably
do,
done
I've
that.
done plenty of rental, the 1007 added to a 1004. And, but to me, this is also kind of like a multifamily, although Van Dyke pulls out the 216 now, which I'm glad, because it's asking data I don't have.
Right,
I don't have that information. I put it right in there. Sorry, the bank and the borrower will have this information. I have no clue what this is, which is what's their interest rate, what is their mortgage, how much,
right, right.
what's their monthly payments. I don't know any of that. I don't want to know any of that.
Right, you got that.
So it has nothing to do with value. My last word about the desktops is that, you still have to do analysis. And in some ways, it's more insecure not seeing the property.
Yeah,
It just is. And the neighborhoods. And because we all know how neighborhoods change from one block to the next.
and
And if you're in Sarasota looking and wondering about here,
What about hybrid?
well, that's the hybrid in the desktops. I haven't taken more than 15 minutes and looked at these forms. And I don't think they're much different. I think the hybrid and the desktop are similar, but please don't say that that's an end, a final word on it, because I have not, I haven't looked at it
Well,
in detail.
I had one that, they had sent a guy out to take photos of the property.
Send somebody,
Somebody, but it wasn't the appraiser.
of course.
And so that was my experience with the hybrid. So at least they got some photos of the actual property.
Yeah.
so how
So
much
somebody,
do they charge
I was
for
going to
that
say,
appraisal? I'm curious.
yeah,
Do you know?
I don't remember.
yeah.
Because I'm just curious how much lesser you guys are going to be charging.
Well,
for-
see, that then becomes a financial decision as to whether it's even worth it to me.
Yeah, I bet.
I know you might say, well, gee, you get to stay home, you don't go anywhere, but I'm trusting whoever went out to take those pictures,
You're doing
Whoever-
more work, yeah.
whoever is giving me something. They say there's companies out there that can give you sketches of the interior, and I'm like, and how did they get that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they
Because
haven't
they
been in the
got you.
house.
Alexa.
And then, yeah, there you go. And then the word,
Alexa and Siri, they got your pictures.
they also, the bank said, well, the realtors are gonna do it because they have to go in there. I'm like, really?
Yeah, right.
Let's add that to your duties.
There's one more thing you can do.
God.
Now, so, believe it or not, it isn't even about the money, because it depends on the hours you spend. I can guarantee you I will spend way more hours than the money they're paying me if I do one. But more importantly is trusting the data that you're gonna get. I am a control freak.
And if you've seen the house.
Absolute
you-
control
you
freak.
feel like you know it better.
Of
than
course I
looking
know
at
it better.
photos,
Absolutely, and then I can go into, even let's face it, even my pictures, and you guys with your drones and all that are great. Pictures make a house look better than it is. It
Yes,
just does.
absolutely.
Mine do too.
So would it
And-
be safe to say that you've been in almost every house in Pinellas?
No.
A lot of them.
See, the problem, or not the problem, but the issue too is that we can't pick the appraiser, right?
Right.
So here you are
I know.
telling us how wonderful and how thorough and professional
I
you
know.
are, and we're stuck.
You just have to
Because
use
we
me.
have, yeah.
Well,
Because
what-
literally,
Whatever
she
we
gets
get.
70% of my appraisals.
And how many appraisers and you said how many are in your
Right
pool?
now with Van Dyke, I'm going to say probably about 18-ish.
Yeah, I would think you have quite a
And you don't
few.
get to pick either, right?
No.
It's just-
No.
It's a random
no.
pool.
It's
No,
random.
but you know, where I'm lucky is Winnie is my area. So
See that-
like,
yeah.
most of my properties are Seminole, St. Pete, Largo, and that's her area. So
That's my
I've
area.
been
I'll go
very
to Clearwater,
fortunate.
of course, Tierra Verde, both sides, the beaches, and, but that's it. I won't go. And believe me, I've had clients for years. I had a friend in the business. He's sort of still a friend because I will not go up to, I don't go to Safety Harbor. I don't go to Palm Harbor. I know you may say, that's not that far. I don't need to.
Yeah,
It's enough, right?
Yeah.
there is enough right here.
And it's just, I don't do it anymore. So, but that is why I end up with, some people, I do a lot of their appraisals because
She
I'm
doesn't
staying
know
here.
it.
Plus you get to know the
I know
area.
it, she doesn't.
You kidding? I know this area probably better than most people because I have lived here for 26 years in Seminole and have appraised for 20 years. Of the last, I'm going to say several years have all been down here. So, yeah, you do get pretty good at it.
Well, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day, Winnie,
Well,
honestly, because I
not a
I
problem.
know you're slammed right now, and
It's crazy.
we're doing twice the
Yeah.
work for half the income, but we're
Yeah.
all kind of getting accustomed to that right now. This too shall pass.
Well, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Winnie. We really appreciate it.
If you have any questions or topics you'd like for us to discuss, please send us an email to mortgagechicks@vandykemortgage.com.
Be sure to like us on Facebook at Mortgage Chicks with Hot Tips.
Also, you can find us on YouTube and you can like, share, and comment.
Watch for our podcast, and we will see y'all next week. Bye now.